Good evening. My name is Quentin Moore. I'll be doing my video on Karl Marx. Karl Marx was born on May 5th, 1818 in Trier, Germany. He died on March 14th, 1883 at the age of 64 in London. His mother and father were Heinrich Marx and Henriette Presburg. His father was a lawyer, and they also operated several different vineyards that he operated in conjunction with his lawyer salary, with being a lawyer. Marx is the third child of 9 children. His family was of Jewish religion, but right before Marx was born, his parents converted into Christianity. Marx was baptized into the Lutheran Church in 1824. Marx originally joined the military, but was, quote, weak-chested, which is a specific condition that was not allowed in the military, and was excused from military service. From here, his father wanted him to study law, but Karl Marx was more interested in philosophy and literature in college and was not quite as interested in law. He originally went to the University of Bonn, but after he got in some trouble there this first couple semesters, his father forced him to transfer to the University of Berlin, where he ended up studying law rather than philosophy. However, while at the University of Berlin, he still had a big interest in philosophy, so he found a way to incorporate law and philosophy together while he studied law. From here, he submitted his thesis to the University of Jena, where he was accepted and earned his PhD. Marx also later became an atheist and let go of his religion in the Lutheran Church. Marx was fascinated with Friedrich Hegel, who was a German philosopher, and this guy, Friedrich Hegel, helped shape a lot of Marx's worldview on what he believed throughout most of his life. Originally, Marx defined himself as a classical liberal. While in college, he joined a group called the Young Hegelians, which was which at that time was known as a radical far-left group of young students. In his early adulthood, Marx began to study Adam Smith, who was a capitalist, a very pro-capitalism individual, as well as socialist Claude Henry Saint Simon. This is what spurred his life's work in studying what was known as the political economy and different political outcomes within the economy. Marx published several different volumes of this called Das Kapital, which means capital in English, which criticized dramatically capitalism and permitted or encouraged the use of communism to replace capitalism. This communism was later morphed into Marx's economic worldview, known as Marxism. Marxism is a form of communism and socialism combined. Marx was also a big fan of Friedrich Engels, who co-wrote with Marx the Communist Manifesto. Some of the other people that inspired Marx were Adam Smith, I mentioned earlier, that was the capitalist, and David Ricardo. Adam Smith was the capitalist and Ricardo a socialist. The Communist Manifesto is a pamphlet of all of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels' work, suggesting that communism and Marxism is better than capitalism. This was to serve as a guide for the Communist League, which originally the Communist League was an underground political party, so to speak, and they realized that if they wanted to amount to anything, they had to come above ground and officially organize as the new political alternate to get rid of capitalism. This was, like I said, this Communist Manifesto was to serve as a guide or as a base for the Communist League on how to run a communist country. And this Communist Manifesto was also inspired, or excuse me, was used by Russia and China along with many other countries. I do not believe that Karl Marx's concepts of communism and Marxism has any place here in American society. Capitalism has been proven to be the best form of government, bar none. Studying history, we know that every socialist communist country has ended in despair and destruction, and is just simply not healthy to a society as a whole. Communism and socialism takes the power away from the people and places all power and all means of production within the government. When you take the government, or excuse me, when you give the government power and take the power away from the people and have the government control means of production, then you create no competition in the marketplace, which in turn destroys society and makes people suffer. Because within a socialist and communist country, as I mentioned, all the power, or the majority of the power, is positioned within the government. These political leaders become drunk on power. There's a reason why nobody flees America, a capitalist country, for the death and despair and slavery of a communist or socialist country. There is a reason why the subjects of communist and socialist countries come to America, because capitalism provides an opportunity for them to thrive and succeed and have prosperity. If you believe that communism and socialism is better than capitalism, I suggest that you ask a subject who experienced it. A government big enough to give you everything you ever want is also a government that's big enough to take away everything that you have.